good morning and welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. I'm Kristin Omdahl and this is episode 399 and we're here live in Southwest Florida waiting on the sun to rise over the buildings and the trees in the east, and this is the Gulf of Mexico behind me. If you're joining me live, please say good morning. I already forgot what I was going to say. Isn't that nice? Hi Constance and Sherry, Harini, Lily, Melissa, Naomi. Good morning, everybody. Glad you could be here. Sula, Judy, Janet, Lisa, Joe. Glad you all could be here. Good morning, Sally Ann. Hi, Christy. It's very windy here this morning, so sorry if the sound's too loud. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Ronette. Still dark where you are. Christine. No, I'm in the shade, Christine. That's why I look darker. I'm in the shade. I had to try to tuck myself into the bushes to try to keep the sound down. Stitch to my Lou, first time here. Wonderful. So glad you could be here. Good morning, Cece and Lori and Diane. Lots of new names. So glad you could join us and very happy that you felt comfortable saying hello. That's great. Maybe this is too high. Thanks, Sally Ann. I hope you had a nice Mother's Day too. I did not have a great Mother's Day, to be honest with you, and I almost canceled the podcast this morning because I knew that there isn't enough makeup in the world to cover puffy eyes from crying. But I'm here anyway because I thought a lot about the fact that I know I'm not the only one that had a crappy Mother's Day yesterday. I'm not the only person who had a crappy holiday ever, right? Holidays are a time when people that have less than perfect situations have really hard days. And you know, yesterday morning I texted two different friends when I got up. I texted one friend who lost his mother 15 years ago to tell him that it was going to be okay, and I texted another friend who lost her mother 3 days ago, and I told her that it was going to be okay. And you know, there are people who are estranged from their mothers or their children. There are people who have buried their children, and you know what? We were blessed with the gift of waking up today anyway. So I just want all of you to know, if you had a rough day yesterday, that it's okay. It doesn't make you a bad person if you had a rough holiday. So just keep plugging along and just keep doing your best. Hi Jane, hi Cindy, hi Judy. Thanks for joining live. Yeah, Sally Ann's has rough Mother's Days because her mother died 25 years ago. I'm sorry to hear that. Hi Marissa from Argentina. Glad you could be here. And I may even have more backlash from saying it out loud on camera this morning. My ex-husband, who I haven't seen or heard from, haven't seen in 15 years, stalks me online still sends me death threats, and still has never paid child support. So hearing this, I might even get death threats today. And you know what? I don't care anymore. I keep the line of communication open with him because my son, until he turns 18, I want him to be able to talk to him if he wants to. The day he turns 18, I shut it all down. And I take one for the team every time it happens because that's what I do. That's what I want to do. So who knows what's going to happen today from mentioning it, but I don't care, because you know what? You guys are more important to me, and being honest with you guys and helping everyone else realize that their less than perfect lives are okay too is more important to me. So anyway, for those of you coming here for the first time today, I apologize for this, because this is not what we do on the podcast. We support each other on here, and we don't normally talk about negative things, but I'll tell you, sometimes that's how you support each other. You have to be open and honest about things. And so there's my big dirty secret that I don't say out loud. So we'll see. Yeah, life happens, Janet. It's okay. Hi, Shahida. Thanks for joining live. Thanks, Judy. Thanks, Naomi. Cherie had a wonderful Mother's Day, and that's excellent. I'm so happy for you. Thanks, Christine. Yep, Lily has similar problems too. Yep, and you know what? You're going to be okay. Stay strong, and you're going to be okay. It's all right. Because you're not the only one. You're not the only one. Thank you, Marina, I think. Thanks, Cindy. Yeah, I don't script the show, so I don't always say the right thing, so dirty secret, not dirty secret, whatever. Thanks, Elisa. Yeah, so there. Yeah, so that's why I didn't cancel the podcast, and that's why my makeup doesn't cover my puffy eyes today. Yes, crafts are one of the most wonderful ways to cope with stress in your life. Yes, very much so. I brought a craft with me this morning to maybe get started. I brought some yarn, and I may actually not get started, but I wanted to show you the tools anyway. The water is beautiful today, Jane. It's very windy down here, but I think I'm in a pretty secluded spot. I'll turn the camera around for a second so you can see how close I am to the bushes. I will not be very graceful if a snake comes out of there, because I know that there are snakes in there, but let's hope that the snakes are still sleeping or off finding food somewhere else, because I have seen them. So has everybody heard of broomstick lace before? Broomstick lace is a type of crochet that involves a crochet hook, a ball of yarn, and it involves a fat stick. So it can be a knitting needle, which this is a gigantic knitting needle, or it can be a broomstick or a dowel or any other kind of stick. What's nice about using a knitting needle though is because of this tapered edge, it helps the stitches come on and off the needle, but it's not necessary. You can do it with a blunt dowel. You can find a dowel at Home Depot or a store or a hardware store. You could probably even use something that's hollow. You could use like an empty paper towel roll maybe. You could use anything. Thank you, Marina from South Africa. I appreciate it very much. So what I'm going to do to get started is do a quick chain. I'm going to tie my yarn to my crochet hook. I tie it with a square knot. Some people do it with a slip knot. Some people like to shame me for tying it with a square knot, and guess what? I don't care, and I think it's fabulous if you do it whatever way works for you, because there's no wrong way to tie your yarn to your crochet hook. So I'm going to chain a couple things, so I'll do 10 chains. We'll do a 10 chain demo. Okay, thank you, Betty. I'm wearing one of my old navy dresses today. I think I showed it to you the other day. Okay, so for the first stitch, we're going to elongate it and slide it onto our dowel. Then we'll come in. This might be easier to do on a table than holding it up for a camera. But I'm going to insert my crochet hook into the next stitch now and pull up another loop, and then elongate that one and slide it onto the knitting needle as well. Okay, this is not going to be very graceful because I'm doing it on camera. If you could set this down, it would be much easier to do. And if I do a demo for it, like a fixed tutorial, fixed video, it'll be easier to learn how to do it. This is not easy to do it this way. Okay, so we're going to just keep sliding those loops onto our knitting needle. The wind isn't helping either, but that's okay. Okay. So get another stitch, and we'll pull a loop through and slide it up. So what's cool about broomstick lace is you can either keep them one-to-one and just do one stitch into each loop once we finish these, or you can group them together like shells and crochet in a bunch of them at the same time. On one of my books, Crochet So Lovely, that's the one that has a beautiful, what do you call it, green shawl on the cover. It's a crochet book, and it has a green shawl on the cover. In that one, I did motifs of broomstick lace with scallop edges for that picture that's on the cover. In my book, Wrapped in Crochet, I did a faroese shaped shawl with shells of broomstick lace in the center gusset of a Faroese shaped shawl. So if you have either of those books at home, those have really beautiful shawls that do a little less traditional techniques in broomstick lace. But today I'm going to show you just basic stuff to get started. It's a great way to add a laciness to a project without without doing anything that's too difficult. Cherie has the Wrapping Crochet book. Yeah, there's a red shawl in there. I think it's called Guinevere, and it has a beautiful broomstick lace gusset for the center panel of the shawl. If I'd have thought about it, I could have brought both of those books to show you. I could maybe bring them tomorrow and we could talk about it again. Because then if I have this demo a little further along, I could show you a few of the different ways to finish or to crochet into these loops. We're just making the loops now. Yep, I'll bring it tomorrow, Barbara. Bring both books tomorrow. And any other ones that I can think of that have broomstick lace in them. They're the only two that I can think of off the top of my head, but that doesn't mean that it's for sure. I could have more. But I will definitely bring both of them tomorrow. Okay, so I've got all of my loops on here now. And you can either, it would be easiest if you're sitting at a table, you could slide this all off and set it on the table, and if you're gentle with it, the loops won't go anywhere. It's going to be a little harder to do that here while I'm holding it, so it's possible that this won't work, but we're going to be daring today. What the heck. So I'm going to slide them all off. That's what they look like. So I'm going to turn my work now, and I'm going to, so the simplest way to do this would be to crochet one stitch in each loop. So I'm going to take this first loop here and just work one to one. I'll just do one single crochet in each loop. In the wind, without a table. Okay, so I'm going to slip stitch in, chain one, and then single crochet again into it. And then we'll do that in each stitch across. You could twist these if you wanted to do something different. Hi, Renee. Sorry for anybody I didn't say your name. It's not intentional. I can't always see all the names as they go by. But if I do, I try. Okay, so you could twist these. You could twist them multiple times. You could leave them untwisted. There are all sorts of ways you could make these unique. And obviously join multiples together to make shells. But we're going to do straight one-to-one for this row. I can't believe this is working. Hi from Oklahoma. No, the wind doesn't help at all, Lily. All right, some of them are going to be twisted now and some are going to be straight, but oh well. I guess we'll call that artistic vision, right? Or the imperfections of, the beauty of the imperfections of handmade. We can call it all sorts of things, can't we? We can do whatever we want. Okay, and you can look at that. It's actually really pretty. Wouldn't that make a beautiful scarf? You could actually put it on the side and make earrings too. Oh, that's okay, Renee. I appreciate it. Okay, so now let's start another row because I would like to show you some shells if we can. So as we talk, I'm just going to elongate these stitches and put them back on the knitting needle. But remember, it could be a dowel too. It doesn't make a really cute scarf. It could make a cute top, or it could be the yoke of a top and the rest of the top could be in a different stitch. It could be a shawl, whatever. All right, it is easier to rest this on something than to do it completely in the air. Hi, Mama something. Glad you could be here. Good morning. Thanks everybody for joining me today. Does the size of the dowel matter? No, it does not, Melanie. However large you use of a dowel you use, that's how large your stitches will be. So I'm using a size 50 or 25 millimeter knitting needle, which is roughly 1 inch. So I'm getting 1 inch height on my broomstick stitches. What kind of yarn am I using, Jane wants to know. This is Be So Baby, which is my DK weight 100% milk fiber yarn. It is super soft and very lovely to work with. This is colorway Splash. This is broomstick lace, Cindy. You think of broomstick lace as something else, I guess. As far as I know, putting loops on a dowel is broomstick lace. You're welcome to correct me if I'm wrong. But like I said earlier, there's lots of different ways to do the stitches once you have these loops. Broomstick lace, in my opinion, is the act of putting these loops on a dowel, and whatever you do with them after that can be all different sorts of stitches. So you can do them one-to-one like I did in the last row, where I did 1 single crochet into each loop. You could also do increases by doing multiple stitches. You could do other stitches besides single crochet. You could use double crochet. You could do, you could alternate rows of this with rows of any kind of a stitch pattern. Now in this next row, I'm going to show you how we hold multiple loops together and do multiple stitches. The reason we're going to do that is because it's not normally pronounced correctly, Siri. Broomstick? I don't know, maybe I'm missing a side conversation. Who knows? It's okay. So in the next row, I'm going to show you how we're going to take 3 loops at a time, and in order. Yes, Cherie, I saw that. I'm so glad you got Living Coral Bling for Mother's Day. That's wonderful. Good for you. Oh, I mispronounced somebody's name. Sorry. Okay. Where was I? Okay. Yes, that's what I'm going to show you in the next one, Cindy. That's one of the ways you can do broomstick. There's lots of different ways. Oh, Siri is pronounced Carrie. Okay, thank you. Hi, Betty. Okay, so we're going to take 3 stitches this time, and if you were decreasing, you could put 1 stitch in the 3 loops. That would be fine. If you're increasing, you could put a bunch of them, but in order to maintain our, for sake of this particular sample, we've got 10 stitches here. In order to maintain an even stitch count so that we always have 10, we're going to compensate for holding 3 loops together by working that many stitches into all 3 loops. So I'm going to pull 3 loops, and then I'm going to work 3 stitches into those 3 loops. And just for the sake of doing something different, we'll do a double crochet in them. So I'm going to slide these off. Let's see if we're as lucky with the second row as we were with the first. So I'm going to gently turn this around, grab my working yarn, insert my crochet hook into 3 loops instead of just 1, and then I'll pull up my yarn, slip stitch to get in there, chain 1, and we're going to do a double crochet, so I'll chain 2. I'm going to work 3 double crochets into those 3 combined loops. And I'll show it to you once I finish this row. It'll be easier to show you once I have it all done. So I'm going to take the next 3, pull all 3 of them together, and work 3 double crochets into all 3 of them. There we go. The wind grabbed my yarn. Okay, and because I don't have an even number of stitches for doing sets of 3, I'm going to grab the last 4 together. And so because it's 4 now, I will do 4 stitches into those. So grab all 4 of those. And work 4 double crochets. And you're going to see how different this really looks because we've clustered our long loops. Okay, look at that. So whoever said that it didn't look like I was, I thought a bug went down my shirt. I guess it was nothing. Oh, maybe it was just wind. Okay, so whoever said that this didn't look like broomstick lace to them, it's probably because this is what looks more familiar to them, and that's when you cluster them and work multiple stitches into them and they have that twist. That's another way to do broomstick lace. And then think about the fact that because it's now a cluster or a shell, you could also offset this for the next row. So, right? You could either make them lined up, or if you took, let's see, it's 3 stitches. Okay, it's not going to work out even. But if you took half the stitches from one and half the stitches from the other on the next row, then you would be offsetting the pattern. So wouldn't that be cool too? You could. That's what I did in the shawl that's in wrapped in crochet. And then, like I said, in the Crochet So Lovely, I made little medallions that were motifs for the edging of that shawl. Gorgeous. Can't wait to show you those photos. I can either post them somewhere today, or you can look for them in your books or online, but I'll bring the books tomorrow too. So, because this is just getting started. We could talk about this all day, and I could show you all sorts of ways to do, if you wanted to do any sort of shaping for a top-down or bottom-up triangular shawl, or for the yoke of a sweater. Carrie wants to know how long I've been knitting and crocheting. I've been knitting and crocheting since I was pregnant with my son. He turned 17 at the end of the month, so between 17 and 18 years now, which is crazy. Good, I'm glad Melanie wants to try this. So somebody said they want to go buy a tool for it. You don't need a tool. If you have a big knitting needle at home, great. If you don't, you could use any kind of a dowel or a stick. Honestly, it's called broomstick lace. If you want to use the back of your broomstick, it would work fine. There is no particular, if you don't want to go buy a tool, just look around your house for some kind of a stick. It would be fine, as long as it's smooth. You don't want anything jagged, otherwise you could, any kind of yarn is fine for this technique, Melanie. That's the beauty of it. You can use any yarn, any size crochet hook, and any size dowel. It can be done on anything. I'm using my Be So Sweet crochet hook set. This is a 3.5 millimeter. I'm using Be So Baby yarn, which is DK weight, 100% milk fiber. You can buy either of these on my website. And I'm using a big knitting needle. But you could use, like I said, you could use a paper towel, the roll. You could use, once you get all the paper towels off, you could use any kind of a tool from your kitchen that's round and smooth. Have a rolling pin. You could use a little tiny rolling pin if you wanted to. It's really simple. Be a great thing to teach kids because it's so tactile and there's so many, it's so simple but yet little steps to do. Yeah, a rolling pin, a small one would be great. If you wanted to do a giant scarf in no time at all, use a big rolling pin. There's no wrong way to do it. No wrong kind of yarn. Carrie has issues with tension. Yeah, that's definitely a beginner thing. That's okay. You just got to keep going. Just don't give up on yourself. Keep practicing. You'll get better. Iris said she learned something new this morning. That's fantastic. There you go. Cindy said she had an old broomstick. Her husband cut it, and she made it long enough to tuck under her arm. Did you see I was trying to do that? This one's not long enough for that. That's a great idea. If you could get a dowel at Home Depot or something, or if you have a handy husband that would do it for you, get a dowel that is long enough that you can tuck it under your arm and work right here, and then you wouldn't even need a table. You could do it perfectly fine sitting like I am. Oh yes, someone asked where I was. I'm in Naples, Florida, which is southwest Florida, and that's the Gulf of Mexico behind me. Lisa, I think, learned something new today too. Fabulous. Yeah, I'm excited to show you the books tomorrow. Those will be fun. You're going to love the projects, and you're going to appreciate the technique more now that we did the demo first. Now that you understand it, you'll appreciate the photos and understand what goes into making it now. Good, I'm glad you enjoyed my little demo, Cherie, and Betty did too. Great. It wasn't the best demo in the world. We can do a better tutorial in my studio, but it was fun for now. All right, does anybody have any other questions before we move on? Oh yeah, Lydia, we just scratched the surface. There's so many different ways to do broomstick lace. And combine it with other types of crochet too. Thank you, Karen. I'm so glad you could be here today for the tutorial. Thank you. Thank you, Sancho. Hi, Pamela. Glad you could be here. Okay, so I brought my Create, Share, Inspire notebooks today, and I brought all 5 of them. So whoever would like to say a number between 1 and 5, I will randomly pick a quote out of one of the books for us to talk about this morning. So just pick a number between 1 and 5, and I'll show these. This is 1, this is, I think this is 2, this is 3, 4, and 5. All right, I see 3s. Okay, we'll do 3. This is 3. So I'm going to randomly pick all of these photos, by the way, are photos that I took at different beaches right here in Southwest Florida. This one is from Little Hickory, which is a beach up the road that way. I think we've been there before. All right, this one page keeps opening up on, there we go. I keep coming to the same page, so. Okay, are you ready? This is an old Yiddish proverb. If you can't go over, you must go under. Boy, is this timely for me today. Those of you who watched the beginning of the podcast know that I am struggling in my personal life today, having a little bump in the road, and so this is pretty timely for me. The way I'm taking this today, and it's funny, on any given day you can take quotes differently depending on where your frame of mind is and what your point of view is. And if you can't go over, you must go under. To me today, that means that when life isn't all peaches and perfect and rainbows and unicorns, sometimes you gotta buckle down and just keep going. And it's gonna get better. So the reason I'm sharing all of this is to tell you, whoever needs to hear this today, that just keep going. Don't give up on yourself. No matter what's stressing you out or making you sad, just buckle down, keep moving forward, and it's going to be okay. I promise. I promise. Just keep going. Just keep moving forward. That's it. And, maybe find something for 5 minutes to think about or look at or do that makes you happy today. Anything. Petting a kitty. I don't know, counting to 20, anything, crocheting, knitting, maybe even just doing something you know really well. Don't try something new if you're stressed out. Work on something that's just zen and easy. Do a washcloth and single crochet if you need to. Do a test swatch to learn to practice a gauge. Something simple. Yes, Constance, things will always get better. Yeah, things will always change. So if things are great in your life right now, savor those. And if things aren't great right now, focus on something good, because everything changes all the time and we're not guaranteed anything. So let's be grateful for today. And for those of you that can go over, great today. For those of you who can't, let's go under. Let's just keep moving forward. If you enjoy the podcast, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the bell notification if you want to be notified when I go live. You may want to also check the settings on your phone to make sure that the notifications are on for YouTube. Once you do those 2 things, you'll always be able to join me live, which is so fun. So grateful for all of you that join me for the live podcast. So fun. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes with me. I hope you enjoyed the sunrise. Sorry about the wind. The beautiful waves and scenery, chatting with me and everyone else here. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and